Are you ready, Mom? Okay, this is Uncle Lloyd. And my mom. And my grandmother. And this is Heather. Okay. Angie is a young female. She lives in Indianapolis, Indiana with her family, and she is 20 years old. This year, her family noticed that she started to bring home items and money, and they don't know where it's coming from because they're a very poor family. She kept her mouth shut about what was going on until her sister demanded that she knew what was happening. Angie budged and told her that she had been receiving money and gifts from a man that is in office. Angie's family was livid and they took charge about what was happening. Although Angie is fictional, Gambia is experiencing this kind of act to a whole different level. What is happening in Gambia could be happening right in your hometown. The surprise of the news outbreaks would be overwhelming if this happened in America. The events happening are horrible in Gambia, but there are things to be taken away from the news of this. The first thing is to speak up if you're being disrespected by anyone, and especially someone from a higher position than you. Secondly, it's important to stay strong through these events and to do what is possible to get through it. Lastly, shame should not be on the individual, but on the individual who is victimizing these people. It was time for the shame of rape to switch sides, said Al Jazeera, to put against the rapist and abuser. As the news breaks out about the former leader of Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, Gambia works to bring everything back together for its people. They created the Truth, Reconciliation, and Reparations Commission that is now a part of the process. The commission is now working to help these individuals get back to the lives that they once lived before all of this happened. In order for us to understand how these individuals will get back to who they were, we will have to look at what kind of women were the subjects. Then we will look at what kind of abuse was happening as this man was in office. Lastly, we will take a look at what happened to Yahya after the news broke out. It is important to look at what kind of women were taken as subjects. This is to see if there was a trend or if this was all just random. There were 3 women that came with terms and came out about what had happened with Yahya, and they took a stand against him with the power of their voices. Although the 2 did not want their names to be stated, they willingly gave out information about what had happened. These women were said to be young women, according to Gambia's Women Accused ex-president of sexual violence. The 3 women all came from poor families and were in desperate need of financial help. The financial stability was very beneficial for all the women. One of them wanted to come to America for school and was offered this as a way out in return for sexual activity. Another girl needed water in her house for her family, and that was promised. The last girl needed financial help so her family could live a better life. None of these females had boyfriends that were found by Yahya. That made them easier targets for a man of power. All of them needed a little push to get where they were going, and he was just the man that could do that for them. There was one girl that needed a push for her band and was in the making, but she never went through for things, so Yahya did not let their band continue. After understanding the types of women that were preyed on, it is now important to see what kind of abuse was happening. Yahya used techniques to get these females to take part in sexual activities, and all of them were different. Also, his abuse took many different forms, but was mainly promising women something and then taking that directly away from them when their acts did not continue. Yahya used these women for his pleasure and would repay them with money and shower them with gifts and basic necessities. One of the females was a beauty queen. For her, Yahya gave her gifts, and installed running water at her family's home. He also proposed to her, according to Basari, of June 2019. When she finally rejected him, he took things that were promised from her, and her family did not get the running water. Also, she screamed, and he slapped her, told her to shut up, and then injected her in her arm with a needle before raping her, according to Basari, June of 2019. Similar things were happening to the other females also. The other two were chosen to stay quiet because they didn't want their families to know about what happened to them, according to 3 women accused Gambia's ex-president of rape and sexual assault, July 2019. After knowing what women were taken into subject and what the different kinds of abuse that were happening to them, we lastly have to look at what happened to Yahya after all of this. We already know the Truth, Reconciliation, and Reparations Commission is helping the women, but what is Yahya doing to pay for the pain that he caused? After the news started to break out in Gambia, the 22-year leader was brought down. He eventually fled with his cousin, who had been doing all of the female talking, and brought them to his place, and they fled to Equatorial Guinea, according to Secrecy 2019. His position had then been taken, and Yahya still refuses to talk to any media about what had happened. He is expected to stay there for a while. Also, the women are now being backed up by individuals, including the Me Too movement. This group is going to stick by the females and are willing to do whatever it takes to take Yahya down and make sure that this does not happen to any other women. Although there is little that we can directly do for the individuals that were affected in Gambia, we can use these events to take a stand for what is happening around us. Even little steps towards the right direction is a win when it comes to rape and abuse. Also, it is important to note that not all abuse looks the same, so it is very important to do your research. Gambia is still trying to power through the terror of what is happening after Yahya was the leader. This terror was shaken the residents and ruined the trust that they had for the government. Gambia is working to help the women who were raped and accused by Yahya to get through these rough moments. People need to take these times and use them to educate everyone who is around them. Women like the ones in Gambia and Angie broke through the silence barrier to get some help. All of these women are not so different from anyone else, and were all taken advantage of. It is important to note that anyone can be taken advantage of, and to help understand this, looking at news stories related to it and hearing individuals break free is very empowering and might be what you need to get through if this ever happened to you. And then, thank you. And then this is Heather again. This is Teresa again, and Martha, my grandma, and Lloyd.